Good morning, and welcome to this week's reflection. It's a little different than the fireside situation where we have that backdrop. Today I'm at Aranac Christ United Methodist Church, um, and I'd like to talk today a little bit about Advent and uh, how that all came about and how we can use the Christian seasons as a way to spiritually enrich ourselves. For the longest time, men, humanity, needed to have something to remind them of certain events. It's important to God also for us to remember. This is why God established this system of festivals and the sacrificial system and all these things that God established was to remind the people that God was a God of love and a God of hope and a God of peace. And through this season, and what the church did in their infinite wisdom is they created two main, what I would call high holy seasons, okay, which of course starts with Advent as we anticipate the birth of Christ, and then of course the Christmas season, which is very short, and then we move right into Lent, which prepares us for the crucifixion, resurrection of Christ, and the birth of the church, really. Which comes actually at Pentecost, but the thing is, these are the high points in the Christian year, and God in the church knows that we need to be reminded of these things. And so what they did is they established the season of Advent, which is 4 weeks prior to the birth of Christ. The liturgical color for this season is purple or blue. You can see here we have the blue parchments with the basic, I love this nativity scene here. Kind of, let me get out of your way a little bit to get out of the camera's way. And you can see it. It's just a very, very simple but very meaningful and pretty thing. We also have the Advent wreath. Now, I'll cross back over. The Advent wreath is made usually of some type of evergreen boughs. Now, why evergreen? Evergreen has always kind of been a symbol of life. And in a sense, evergreens are also a symbol or a sign of hope. We're hoping for spring in this case. So there's always the boughs and the evergreens have always been used as kind of a way of giving us hope, because it's evergreen. So in the midst of this cloudy, right now I'm looking out on an overcast, cloudy gray, which is typical in Michigan through the winter. So when we see this beautiful evergreen, we know that the hope we have is that we just get through this season, get through this kind of a down season, a dark season. The sun doesn't shine as long. Seasonal depression kicks in. But at the end of the day, we have hope. And that's really was the theme of last week's message, was hope. But that also, the hope we have results in what this week's theme is, which is peace. Because if we have hope, we can rest easy at night. We're not anxious, we're not wondering, we're not worried, because we know that we have Christ, and Christ is always with us. So each week we light a candle. And you'll see here, and there's different arrangements. You can have different arrangements, but primarily we're dealing with 3 of one color and 1 of another, and then the center candle. So on the first Sunday, which was last Sunday, we will light the first candle. And today, or this week, I should say, this Sunday is the second Sunday of Advent, and we will light the second candle. The pink candle, which is always kind of when do we light that? The question comes up all the time. And so in the midst of waiting, right, sometimes that's hard to wait, especially at Christmas time. because we're anticipating Christmas. And so the third candle means we're almost there. It's a candle of joy. And it's pink because it's different and it's colorful, and it just reminds us that we're in the third week now. We're over the hump. We're getting really close to Christmas. That brings joy into our heart. And then, of course, the fourth week is the other purple candle, which is the last candle that we light. And then on Christmas Eve, what we do is we come in and we light the center candle, which is the Christ candle, which is, of course, is bigger and is white. Purple also is a color of royalty, and that's another reason, because the King of Kings and Lord of Lords is coming as what we're celebrating. And the last candle I just remember is love. And of course that wraps it all up, doesn't it? Okay, so we have hope, okay, which brings us peace, the joy that we're anticipating that's going to come, okay, and all of it is a result of God's love for us. And so these little things that we do during Advent, if we can remember what they symbolize, and we need to teach our children this as well. There's all kinds of things you can do at home as a family with a small Advent wreath. There's readings you can read. Usually it's done at mealtime once a day, and you allow the candles to burn through mealtime. And then every evening in between the weeks, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you light the candles at dinner time as well. And so you can start your own family tradition. Now this is important, and we know it's important because God always was reminding the people, I'm the God who brought you out of Egypt. I'm the God that brought you out of slavery. I am the God that led you 40 years in the desert. I'm the God who made manna fall from the sky and quail so you had something to eat when you complained you were hungry. I'm the God that gave you water when you were complaining that you were thirsty. And so God always reminds his people who he is and what he has done and what he has promised to do. And so it's important that we have these little reminders. I think it was intentional, the system and the things that we do as human beings to try to relate to an unseen God we've never seen before. We have felt God, right, through the Spirit, but we've never seen God. We've never touched Christ like the disciples did before his ascension. It's called faith. And that's why we can go through life with a smile on our face is because we have faith. Because we have hope. Because of the faith we have. All right? Which brings joy into our heart, gives us peace that surpasses our own understanding with all that's going on in the world. It's hard to rest. But God, in his infinite wisdom, created little signs that he'll show you from time to time when you're feeling down. Something that you weren't expecting to see. A glimmer of hope. And it's amazing how God knows how we're feeling. Knows if that we're lonely or we're struggling with something. And so if we can simply remember this, especially in practices during Advent, is to go to your Lord often, to start your day in prayer, to do some devotional readings at dinner time, to say an evening prayer. You will rest easy at night in a sure and certain hope of Christ's return. And if he doesn't get back before we check out of this place, we'll see him then. We all have a set amount of time before us, and we're going to talk about that in the message for this week, how there's a time and place for everything. And there's a time appointed for us to be born, and there's a time appointed for us to die. And God is sovereign, which means he's in control. So that's my little message. My little message for this week. We are going to be dealing again in the book of Isaiah. It's going to be my primary text, and it's chapter 40. I believe the first 14 verses is going to be the primary scripture that I'm going to be using. The Israelites are in captivity in Babylon, and Isaiah is the prophet. And so we're going to talk about the prophecy in Scripture that he gives us. So I hope you. I'm not sure how this is going to turn out. I've got a different camera. It's just a little webcam that I can set up on a tripod. I've added this goofy thing, which I'm going to try to get a wireless one or a Bluetooth or something. But the audio sometimes doesn't come across. It's hollow or echoey or soft. So I'm trying this just to see if the audio portion is working okay. All right. Have a wonderful day. Go find something that's green because it'll give you hope. Hopefully some type of evergreen tree or something, or you have in here a beautiful red berries. I'm not exactly sure. Holly, I guess that would be like a holly has little red berries. So anyway, have a great day, and we'll talk to you later.